Hi guys, that's me, and today I'm going to cover a bit of the Tau. Now the internet's alight with YouTube videos and forum posts about the new Tau and the new rules, and because the Codex came out today, and there's a lot of interesting stuff out there, and I've been getting a lot of questions, a lot of interest in the past few weeks on the drone army, most of which you can see in front of you here, the different, at least one model from the different units that I've got. So yeah, may as well start things off. This isn't going to be a Codex review. I am going to touch on some of the rules, but I won't go into any crazy details. But I'm going to try and keep it to how it relates to my army, how the changes affect me, that sort of thing. So start off at the top. A lot of things are cheaper from what I've seen. There's a lot of Codex reviews on YouTube. Just put it into the search and you'll be able to see one if you want to see most of the rules. They are certainly cheaper. Best example of this is the battle suit. The standard XV8 battle suit is now 22 points. So this is actually a commander model, but for my Tau drones. But you get the idea. So the basic one of these guys is now 22 points. That's 3 points cheaper than he was before. That isn't all. Of course, now he gets the multi-tracker, which was a 5-point upgrade, I believe, and he also gets a black sun filter, all included in that price. So that's absolutely brilliant. The weapons are a lot cheaper. That's a big difference because, of course, the main expense on the crisis suits was the weapons. The base cost wasn't really that much. The next one is Overwatch. So big changes to Overwatch. It seems to be the trick of the army. They've chosen this as the Tau's forte. Everything from certain upgrades giving you BS2 in Overwatch, other units joining in with Overwatch to help each other out, even upgrades so vehicles can Overwatch. That's a pretty big one because, of course, there's a lot of strength 5 shots in our vehicles, especially now we've got extra shots from the burst cannons on them. Next one up, Skyfire. This is something that Tau have been really struggling with since 6th edition came out, and of course they've gone crazy with it. They've gone absolutely ridiculous. Time will tell as to whether flyers are still viable in the game against the Tau, but essentially what you've got is battle suits can take an upgrade, which allows them to choose at the beginning of the turn if they want to Skyfire. You've got, with that, missile pods. I mean, if your death rain teams are going to be just literally raining death on everything from light vehicles to infantry to all the flyers. It's going to be absolute mayhem. Fusion blasters, slightly better range. That means they're going to be absolutely brilliant at taking down flyers, because now you've got a 9-inch melter range, 18-inch overall. Railguns on the broadsides are also Skyfire, along with the alternate broadside. I mean, I'm going to have to change these guys quite a bit at the moment because the configuration is just 2 rail rifles. Railguns. So that's going to change a fair bit because you've now got one which can take all missiles, and you've got a crazy amount of missiles, and they're all Skyfiring, and it's just going to be absolutely crazy. The Skyray, I hear, can now do the Skyfire, which actually makes sense. From a fluff point of view, personally, I would have preferred them to have limited Skyfire to flyers and the Skyray. I think that would have been a good balance. It works with the fluff. It would have made a lot more sense. But hey, they do whatever they feel. And I guess as long as the Skyray does have Skyfire, that kind of works for me. So it's not too bad. And then of course we've got our flyer, which of course all flyers get Skyfire. So that's a big bonus for us. So we've now got enough to handle Skyfire. Simple as. Right, then we've got the ion weapons. So they've released a lot more ion weapons. The new Riptide, that can take a big iron gun. Then we've got a small one which has gone onto the Pathfinders, and then we've got the one which is on the Hammerheads anyway. The big difference here is they can choose to overcharge, which of course gives them the gets hot chance, but generally makes them a lot more powerful, and on a lot of them you're getting blasts, whereas before you were just getting double shots. So that should be a massive help. And one thing we were always short of in the Tau was blasts. The only option we had were a few of the commander upgrades and the hammerhead sub round. Really, those were the only access to blasts we had. So horde orc armies were a bit of a pain, to be honest, until this point. But we've got all the blasts we could ever hope for now. Right, so that's basically all the main changes as far as I'm concerned. There might be some more which prove to be even bigger game changers, but I just wanted to go through what it means for my drone army now. So first off, we have new drones. So at the moment, all we had as the main drones in the last codex is we had these guys, the shield drones, which I believe can now only be taken with certain units. It might only be the broadsides. And we had the gun drones, which were only really taken with vehicles in the last codex. We had the sniper drone team. This is my own personal conversion for that. I really wasn't keen on the Finecast models they released. And then there was the Markerlight drones, which I don't actually have one of because they were crazy expensive and really not worth modelling for this, to be honest. Of course, now we've got drones with missile pods, we've got drones with anti-charge range, we've got drones which have all kinds of weaponry on them, bigger drones with massive guns that fit on top of tanks, all sorts of craziness, all very welcome. Of course, with new drones comes new models, and with new models comes new conversion chances, which is absolutely brilliant. So I've been really looking forward to getting some new drones to play with, because of course a lot of these guys, from the fire warriors or fire drones to the gun drones to the sniper, even to the stealth suits that are modelled here, all of these are using the same drone top. Of course there's one on the bottom for this one as well, which was getting frustrating, to be honest, because one of the main problems I was having with this army was keeping some variation, because it's very difficult to identify the different models, or at least it can be to someone who doesn't know what they're up against, especially if they're not familiar with the army as a whole. Last thing you want is them to be getting confused as to what drone is what unit in the game as well, which of course I have this picture for, which shows a key of the different ones, and really was to help my opponents to not get frustrated with the army. Pathfinders. I haven't seen the main rules for the Pathfinders, but as far as I know, they've become a lot more viable. They've taken out the tank, so that doesn't need to be taken with them anymore, which was a massive hurdle for a lot of people taking Pathfinders. And really, it may very well mean that this guy here, the Tetra, which I converted here, might not be needed anymore. And that's sad, because I like that conversion, and also because I don't have a single Pathfinder drone. I'm really going to have to convert one of those up sharpish, or even teams of them even. So that's one of the major changes. The broadside. So now the broadside is a lot chunkier. It's got its own model. The reason this one worked so well for me is because it was a variation of that. So it worked well because the broadside was an upgrade of a standard XV8. So this worked because it was an upgrade of my XV8 counts as model. But now we've got big chunky ones, and they've got different weapons, and they've got 60mm bases. I mean, this does come off, it's magnetised, so the base isn't so much of a problem, but it just looks too small now. When I'm looking at the new broadsides, it doesn't seem to fit as well, so I may very well have to take these, convert them back into normal XV8s, and then try and think of another way I can add the broadsides back into the army. Bit of a challenge, really. Of course, the big one, the huge one, the one everyone's talking about, which is the Riptide. This is going to cause a lot of sleepless nights for me. It's an absolute nightmare for someone who's got a whole counts as army. especially since it's not a walker. It's actually a monstrous creature which poses all kinds of moral problems, because I've been using the vehicles as standard vehicles and just fitting different sensor arrays on them to suggest that they're being remotely controlled. But of course, with the Riptide being a monstrous creature, there's a guy inside it, which means I am going to have to convert a drone version. I've had a lot of questions on the internet on the advanced Tau Tactica, yeah, on that forum, and also a couple of comments on my videos on YouTube. How am I going to tackle a Riptide conversion? Well, there's been a few suggestions already. One of them is to use several drones. One of them holds a shield, one of them does the targeting, one of them holds a different gun, and sort of have them all on one base, all floating together as a sort of working together of small drones, all for one purpose. Not sure what I think about that idea, but it's certainly an interesting one. And then we've got using the flyer model and converting that up into a Riptide, so putting the Riptide weapons onto a flyer, convert it so it looks a bit more like a disc, that sort of thing. An interesting one was to use the shield from Riptide and use that as the main chassis for the drone, which is definitely a very interesting idea. Again, I'm completely undecided as to what I'm going to do. I am going to have to buy the Riptide model anyway, because I need the weapons, I need the shield, that sort of thing. So I'm probably going to hold off on a decision until I've bought that model and put it together and magnetized it and decided what I'm going to do with the different weapons, because of course I'm not going to stick the weapons to it because they're what I need, and the shield and whatnot. It may very well be that I can use more parts of the Riptide and turn those into a drone. I really don't know, but looking forward to the chance to do that conversion. But it's certainly a daunting one. There's a lot of expectation, a lot of ways it could go horribly, horribly wrong. If anyone on here has got any suggestions at all, I am all ears as far as the Riptide is. I've got ideas for most of the other conversions I'm going to be doing, but the Riptide really is... Yeah, so any suggestions, send them my way. I'll happily take them on board, and you never know, they might be included in the end model. And that's it really. Those are the main points of how the Codex changed the army, the main points of how it changes the drone army, things I'm going to have to do. Of course, all of the updates for this are going to go on my thread on Advanced Tau Tactica, link in the description, and also on my channel here. So it's probably better if they go on the channel here, to be honest. I don't know. But yeah, that was it basically. Not too long, I'm up to 13 minutes. So it's a lot shorter than I was expecting this to be. And yeah, any feedback, comments, suggestions on how I can go about this, things to be wary of, things you'd like to see, please just pop them in the comments, send me a PM, anything you like, and I'll be sure to get back to you and see what I can do about it. Right, stay well guys.